So thank you all for coming out today. The concept for this is the idea that there are people in our community who do something better than anyone else. And because the logging industry has such history in our valley, I mean our community is based on the logging industry, it was natural for us to try and find some loggers and people who had a long history in the valley to express what you guys are going to be able to express. When we were looking for people to take part in this, your names were given to me as people who should be taking part in this. It's as simple as that, that you're considered by your peers to be the ones to be speaking. So I appreciate that you've all come out today. We are doing, because it's a passion for me and Gino, we're doing 2 sets. We've done 2, this will be our second set of truck drivers. In the first set we had Gino and Doug. We had
Chris, Harold,
yeah,
Dale, one more.
one more.
Bill Dreyer.
Bill Dreyer.
Oh, okay.
And then
That
you
was fun.
guys. Yeah, it was a good one.
Yes.
It was a good one for sure. And then we know there's lots that's missed. Some guys have said no, they didn't really want to be a part of it, and some never got back to me. So, so this will be the last of the ones that we do today. Good. So we've put Brian at the head of the table. So Brian, you weren't born in Golden, but how did you get here, and how did you get into this industry?
I grew up in Invermere and I followed my older brother Barry to Golden. Yeah, he was kind of my idol. Still is. Always figured he did it better than I did, but no, Barry was the one that brought me to Golden. Yeah.
And got you involved in the logging
Got
industry?
me involved. Actually, we both worked for Allison Concrete, but Allison had a logging truck in the wintertime, so I started on that one.
Oh.
So Ron was already here, but so yeah, I used to haul. The first time I hauled logs was out of, it's interesting because I'm back hauling logs there again, in the Beaverfoot, and I hauled out of there with Walter Miller. So I figured it was 1969. And unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of that old truck. It was a 63 Kenworth, so I'm hauling out there right now with Dan, and Mark's been out there too, but it's changed so much. It's so easy now compared to it was in the old days. It was a miracle to go through a day without a flat tire. So, yeah. But no, we had lots of fun in the old days. Yep, we used to race each other into the. I had probably the least powered truck. Ron had more power than I did, so I always got past on the 5-mile hill. But no, it was quite an adventure. Yeah.
What about you, Ron? When did you come into the valley? And did you come in here to log? Is that what you were doing?
Oh, I came to the Okanagan in '68. I had a 2-week job. And I obviously haven't finished it yet. Yeah, I got a job with Walter Miller hauling logs for him. Was with him for a long time. Ended up, I bought our house in December the 1st of '68, I think it was, we moved into it, or '69, I guess it was. Yeah, still living in the same place.
It was the right purchase.
And who all did you work for over the years, Ron?
Well, I was just about every contractor. I hauled logs for just about every contractor that was in the valley here. K&S and Rio River, Arkansas,
Who was K&S?
Chess,
Tingstead.
Tingstead.
Yep.
I remember the name, but who was it?
Used to have a shop there where OK Tire is now.
Then I went into logging myself. I thought that was the thing to do, but I soon learned that wasn't what I wanted to do either.
So you bought your own truck at that point?
I had my own truck when I came here,
Okay.
and ended up, I had 4 of them at one time. And then I got out of that and went into logging. Logged for a while, and finally decided that wasn't what I wanted to do either, so. I wasn't good enough businessman, I guess, so. Get out of that again. I kept my D7, I worked that for years in silviculture. Scarifying and, yeah, finally I just had enough. Sold it, trusted Jemima about like that.
What year was that?
Oh, boy. Oh. I don't remember. When did I come work for you? I'm working for Brian here again.
Yeah, I can't remember, that's quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Must have been in the 80s, I think, probably.
Yeah.
Late 80s.
No, later than that.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it was in the 90, 95, I don't remember. Back there quite a ways, you know.
The Mac attack for,
Yeah. Pardon?
John, you drove the Mac attack for John too, Priest.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right, I drove a truck for him for a while, yeah. I got bobbed around for a while, yeah. Worked for Baltacus, had my cat on with him for a while. Till he shut it all down again.
Hardest day's work you ever put in?
Pardon?
What was the hardest day's work you ever put in?
I don't know, there was so many of them, I wouldn't know.
It's definitely a hard industry to be in, isn't it?
I think one of the hardest jobs, continuous, was hauling chips. I drove a truck for Brian hauling chips to Castlegar and that, and I think that, over a period of time at my age, was a little bit more than that I should have been doing it. It was a long day.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Tough day.
Yeah. Lots of
Castle
miles.
Run back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a long day, especially if you had to go from Castlegar to around Cranbrook Way. Add an extra time onto your travel time and extra mile, and the ferry was shut down at Revelstoke, so.
What about you, Dan? Born in Golden?
I was born in Kelowna, but I think Mom and Dad went, I think they went to Micah when they were building the dam, and then I ended up here somehow before my days. What I can remember, been here, I think we've been here since 67, 66, something like that. Must be just an old timer here now, I guess.
I think so.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Close it up. Yeah,
That's right.
But you come from a logging family or a family that has a background in the bush.
I was bred right into it apparently, so. Went and worked at the railroad there for just shy of 8 years, and then worked around, I think I worked for Larry Weber for 2 years, and then for Brian. Or Pat Milam, I guess I worked for him for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then for you for the rest of the time. And then myself, still doing that. Slaving away.
Anyway.
Good job.
Would you want to do anything else?
Nah, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. A little bit of tough times once in a while, but yeah. Grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence, so might as well just carry on,
Yep.
make the best of what you can.
Yeah, for sure. Mark? Valley born?
Yeah, I was born here and we moved away in '68 because of no work for Dad. And as soon as I got out of school, I was back here. And I worked for Cecil for 9.5 years, and for Whiskey Jack will be 29 this fall.
Wow.
And a little bit for Brian in between. Larry Weber a little bit. Drove this gravel truck for Sal when his baby was sick, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
I think the common thing here is everybody worked for Brian.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot more fun
Why did it?
when I started, I think. With
Yeah, I
more
think the odd time you helped out.
Maybe a couple times, just
Yeah.
part-time or something.
Yeah.
Drove Slurpee.
Yeah, but that was on the Still Helmers, that was before he had it.
No, I drove it when Brian had it.
Yeah, but it was Helmers when I
Oh,
was
really?
there. Yeah, when Ed was running it.
Yeah, I think everybody in the valley worked for Brian at least one day.
Yeah, or something. Oh, yes, I did. I took a trip to Cranbrook and back with one of your little beds one
That's
time.
right. Yeah,
There you go.
well, I'm sure you would.
It was a nice
Bill
trip.
Dwyer, everybody.
It was a night trip, I remember.
I get so desperate, I just kept phoning.
Somebody said yes.
Help! Craziest thing I almost did, I almost phoned Roy Patrick one time when he was in Hawaii to see when he got back if he tried for me. Thank God I didn't do it.
Well,
I don't think I've ever told him that.
I made this mistake too one day. I wanted to get a hold of you to move my D7.
Yeah.
Needed a low bed, so I phoned you. Well, you said I can't really do it right now because I'm in Fort McMurray.
Well, there's a truck there you can take.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, so wonder you didn't have to do it yourself.
And Sal, you're a Valley-born,
Yeah.
second generation anyway, truck
That'll be
driver.
second, yeah.
Yeah. And do you remember the first truck you ever bought?
First truck I bought?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
And what about the first one you ever drove? Let's go back to there. What
Well,
about
I-
the first one you ever drove?
That would be Dad's. The old Red and White International.
69.
669, yeah. 318 in it. That'd be the first one I drove any distance, like, you know, all ties with Mount Alberta and that. But, I remember the first logging truck I actually rode in was with Greg Carrick off of the Susan Lake fire up there when Clarence was logging there. He hauled something, and I think that's probably the reason I do what I do. Is after I did him, I thought I like this, and then it was all I ever did after that was try to pursue that. And then the first truck I bought was actually off Greg when he got out of it. That was 79, 80. I don't remember. It must have been around 1980 anyway. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't.
What's that?
The blue and white one that he bought, that was same color as Jack Leslie's. Or Jack Leslie had ordered it, never bought it. And Greg bought it. No, so it would have been 82, 83 when I bought that truck. Yeah, and then I had it for 3 or 4 years, I think, and I sold it to Matt Gibb. And I went away from it for quite a while till I bought that self-load up Perry. That was in 95 or 96. Yeah, it's been all around that. And one load off of Susan Lake there. Yeah. Yeah, I still remember that one day. I was like 14 or 15, I think. If I remember right. That old red Western Star that his old man had that he was driving anyway at the time. So that was, it's like kid in a candy store getting right down the hill.
That's right.
That thing.
Yeah.
Greg wouldn't have been, he wouldn't have been much more than 20, 21 at the time.
That's right. Yep.
That must have been the one Mike bought him.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Or it could have been another one just like it, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, no, I always remember that trip when I was 14, like 14 or 15, whatever it was.
You were hooked.
I was hooked, yeah.
Up in the K Road the other day, the old K Road, they rebuilt all that.
Yeah.
I remember coming over there with Dad telling me what, that one little rock cut, and there's a corner, telling me how steep that was back then.
Right.
Had to hit her hard. And,
That River Road.
yeah, I was up there the other day. This ain't a hill, but I remembered that one little spot in the road.
Yeah.
I remember almost standing on the seat. Come on, we can go, we can go. Beside. Yeah. We can get her. It was the first time I was on that road since.
Yeah.
Then kind of weird.
Jack Leslie always told the story about hauling for Magnus up the Morand, and he was eating his lunch going up there in first and second, I think he said, and some tourists walked up beside him and said, "Could you move over a bit so I can go by?" That's how slow they went up there, eh? Well, I think Harold said it was an hour and 10 minutes from the Bush River Bridge to the top of the Dundas in the old days. And I think we can do it in 10 minutes now from Bush Harbor
Yeah.
over the top.
It's changed.
Yeah.
It's quite a difference in the trucks. eh?
I was out there a while ago wondering where all those names came from. Why is it? in the
Yeah, I'm not
rock
sure.
there?
Ron Junior.
Well, Higby's camp
guys
was
there.
there.
Yeah, there was a camp there, Higby's camp.
Yeah.
I remember, somebody explained that to me one time.
And the Dundas there, he had a camp right at the bottom there.
Oh,
Dad worked for him there. so.
Mhm.
I wonder where all the name came from.
Yeah,
Or back when it was a highway almost,
Yeah, yeah.
Most likely.
yeah, part of it, yeah.
close to a highway.
I mean, you were a new driver coming in and there's, everybody started calling out these names of places. We didn't have a
Tough.
clue where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it took a while before you learned. You learned fairly quickly. It's pretty hard on a new driver to know where the all these places were at.
You go to town though, they still use lots of names. Little Settlers Road there, it's all names.
Is it?
Very few
Alright.
kilometers.
Oh.
You learn pretty quick there too.
Uh,
Well, on rock trucks know out there.
Oh, yeah.
You hear them guys calling you, want to be thinking about where they are pretty quick.
Yeah. A little bit wider road than some of our roads, you know.
Yeah, it's a little better road.
I can remember when I first started too, Brian Lefferts pointing his finger at me. Make sure you're on the right side of the road because Junior will be out there and he won't be saying a word. And if you're on the wrong side, you'll be in the ditch.
Yeah, I got the same talk from
Yeah.
Kenny Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was true too, eh?
He used to pull some pretty nasty tricks. He said that you went past the 28 mile, right around the corner and down the hill. And Jim Williams was coming, fully loaded, and he knew that everybody cut that corner off pretty good. So he parked right by the 28 mile sign and never said a word. Jim came around the corner. He just about upset it trying to get around him. Never said anything. Well, he was a very colorful character.
Yeah, he did that to me at the first Blackwater Lake, the first winter I was hauling, he hit in the little corner there and I come over the, what's the name of that creek there?
Oh, Summit Creek.
Summit Creek, yeah. I come over the hump and then down around the corner and there he was sitting there and I just about drove up the lake. I wasn't expecting him to be there, but
No,
he knew I was gonna be in the middle of the road though, so.
it's a lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's your lesson.
Yeah, I was much more careful after that.
Now they drive down the road, but it's not, they're not playing tricks on it, that's just the way they drive. so.
Yeah. Yeah, on the highway too.
Yeah. You know, down at Parson there, there's only one lane in the road.
Yeah.
There's no two sides of the road there.
Yeah.
She's all by
It's on the
5
radio.
miles.
Yeah.
Now, like here, you could drive all day long, never really call a mile if you wanted, if you did it right.
Yeah.
Down there, you don't, none of that.
He was, like, yeah, I thought he had the most talent. When I had my accident, I had to go for a ride with him, so I wouldn't get scared.
Oh.
And he wasn't smooth like you guys were, I didn't think, on the shifting and that, but man,
You could keep it on the road.
he could, like, he went out of, like, we're up on the Blackwater Ridge there, and there was an adverse pull, and I'm thinking, I'd have 2 sets of chains on. Everybody else had one, he went around there with none.
Hmm.
And just the talent was unbelievable how he could do that. But I didn't think he was a smooth driver, not like you guys.
Well, if you see me driving that new truck we got there, there's not much smooth there. Try to go from that Cat to a Cummins, not working very well.
No, not as nearly as smooth, are they?
Little cat to Detroit, same problem. Yeah. Especially
Like
after
years.
12 years, yeah, 12 years I drove a cat, and didn't get this thing, it's just,
Speaking of the Blackwater Ridge, reminded me when I was taking my pilot's license training. The instructor came to Golden here to give us a few lessons like that. And Gordon Metker and I were doing it. So it was raining, so he decided to come for a ride with me in the logging truck. We were hauling off the Blackwater Ridge. We're around the top corner, it was slippery. So I came around the top corner and first trip wasn't too bad, just slipped a little bit. Second trip, around the corner and I just let it go. And stepped on it downhill, went to the next corner and just eased it off and whipped it around, kind of slid around it again. The third switchback, I looked over, he's sitting there hanging on the door handle, peered out over the edge. And I started to laugh, he said, I'll get even with you. Next time we went up to the airplane, I knew what he meant. When he said, "Get even, all right." Pull the airplane up into a full stall like that and then flip it over, right?
Oh, yeah.
Down you go. Buckle like that. They get out of that and he said, there, now we're even.
It's only what you're used to, right?
Yeah.
It's like when I was hauling for you and we were hauling from that helicopter show, and there I drug that B train.
Well, up the pink road, yeah.
And the helicopter pilot comes in and says, you guys must be half crazy. Thought a couple of us stand there. Didn't know. We drive, if we fall off the road, it's probably our fault. If you fall out of the sky, there's there's a lot more bringing you down than there is us. The helicopter pilots they're crazy. Especially them heli auger guys.
Yeah.
Come swooping in, dropping you.
Drop it, yeah. Yeah.
What was with that? There was a fire up in the Sullivan before there was a road in there. Everybody was going in by helicopter. And we had, the morning the machine operators got delivered first. So our machines were over, myself and another fellow from Revelstoke, at D8, myself over there with the D7, was over in the next draw. So we jumped in with him, and this guy was a Japanese fella. We call him a kamikaze pilot. He went up over the ridge, he said, "Where's your cast?" I said, "It's right down there." Well, we took a dive down there. I thought, oh my God, this is gonna get crashed. Look, I sat down on the beach just like that. I couldn't believe it. I got out of that one, I was glad I didn't have to ride with him again.
So I've listened to a little name dropping and I'm glad to hear it. One of the other goals with this project is to try and remember others that aren't either around anymore because they've passed away or they don't live here anymore. And sometimes, well, you went right to Ron Jeaner, which is exactly what the last group did too. So there are
individual.
yeah, so there's those that are going to stick out. But yeah, if you think of anybody as you're having discussions like Jack Leslie, there really isn't anybody to tell his story anymore. So yeah, if you have an opportunity to elaborate on some of those guys, that would be great. Cecil's Ridge, yeah.
Yeah, Peter Dick.
Well, when you called me about coming down here, and I thought, what's the most memorable story I've got? And it certainly involves Ron Jr., because one night we closed the highway out in the Trans-Canada. And we were hauling nights, it was about this time of year, and I was working for Walter Arkansas, driving one of those trucks you got a picture of. And Jerry Moulton was with me because he was a loaderman, so we left at 10 o'clock at night, and Harold picked up Roger Arkansas at the hilltop, and he left his car there. So we're all going out, as we usually did, just quiet on the radio, and all of a sudden somebody came on the radio and said, "Roger, are you with Harold?" And Harold said, "Yeah, he's with me." He said, "Well, your car just left the hilltop." That's when the cafe was 24 hours service. So anyway, we drove along, and Jerry said, "Gee, we're just heading this way." So Ron Jr. called me up and he said, Where are you?" I said, "I'm just coming up the 10 mile. He said, "Meet me at the park gates," because they still had the park gates then, but it wasn't manned. So I wonder what he's up to. So by the time I got up to the park gates, there's Ron. He was crossways at one gate, and he was standing out there motioning me with Walter's truck across there. So when somebody comes, he said, "They'll see us, they'll stop." And then he got out with his 300 Magnum, and everybody knew that it was always loaded. He said, "If that car comes here, we'll stop him." So Jerry Moulton and I look at each other, this is not good. Anyway, Ron was pretty intimidating. He always did what he told you. So we're sitting behind this guardrail, crouched down. This isn't very good. So anyway, we're waiting, and a pickup come up the highway. There wasn't as much traffic. It was probably about 1973, so there wasn't as much traffic as there is now. So I'm watching westbound coming over that hill to flag a truck down, and Ron's standing there with his gun, and this pickup come up, and as soon as they saw Ron in the headlights, they stopped. So Ron motions up, and they very timidly drove up. Did we? He said, have you seen this car? No, I haven't seen it. I'm terrified. So he let the guy go. We managed to leave enough room that the pickup get by. And I said to Ron, so what are you going to do if it comes up for you and he turns around? He said, I'll just blow his gas tank out. That'll stop him. Anyway, luckily for us, the car never did come.
Oh.
And yeah, but it was crazy.
Find the car.
There was, I guess, a young guy that pumped fuel at the hilltop, and he just went for a joyride, and he brought it back again.
Oh.
So that was the end of that excitement. But no, Junior was, he started here back in the old gas pot days, so he had a wealth of knowledge and stories, and he was a character. I mean, sometimes you could hardly stand the company of the man because he'd make you mad, but he always was a character. Yeah.
Gino had a good story. Well, he was part of it. We were been hauling on the night shift, and we went into the mill yards to haul between Radium and Gold, and we had to be on the night shift because the mills were on the night shift. There was lots of yap going on the first few days, and later on in the week nobody was saying anything, and Gino comes on, dead silent, about 3 in the morning. Says, hey, would any of you guys know what the difference between an elephant and Ron Jr.'s car is? Well, no, nobody knew. And he said, well, an elephant has a trunk in the front and an ass in the back. Junior's car has a trunk in the back and an ass in the front. Well, holy, he just come unglued. When I get a hold of you, Carrot Top, he said. Well, then the excitement started, eh? Nobody was tired anymore.
Good chuckle or two.
Yeah. You talked about the time you put your mitts and gloves on because we had the air conditioner.
Yeah.
Well, Junior did the opposite to me one time. He always harassed me because he said, you don't wear enough clothes, and we were hauling off the top of the bend then. And from Bolton Campman, he said, one of these days your heater's going to quit. So I said, oh no, I haven't figured that. So anyway, one day it did quit. And I just about froze to death. So I come down, and he'd heard by this time what had happened to me. And I still come down to Blackwater campsite, and there he is, out, and there I've got the windows rolled down, because it's the only way I could see, because the windshield was froze up. And I come around the corner, and there's Ron, with his shirt sleeves and his long underwear rolled up, and he's washing his arms in the snow.
He was one character.
Oh, well, he was always a great one to make you laugh.
Yeah.
Used to bug me about that all the time too.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's all right.
Yeah. Showed up, I think it was working with you, show up there,
Yeah.
just in a t-shirt, it's frozen. It
Yeah.
was freezing my ass off.
Yeah.
And he's all dressed nice and warm. Then the next time, I think it got warm during the day, and he's almost sweating, eh?
Yeah.
Shirt's all undone, and he's cooking, and I'm standing there in a t-shirt, it was all right. Temperature changes during the day.
That's right.
So what about some of the other truck owners? What about the Williams family, Sal? I know you spent some time with them, right?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with them, yeah. Yeah. I know Kenny, he was pretty wild back that time when he was teaching me how to drive and stuff, or teaching me out all logs. And Jim, I think he was the driver behind the whole outfit there pretty much. I think he made all the decisions for everybody, but I owe a lot to them because they basically got me started in the business and stuff like that. And they always kept their trucks good and always worked. And yeah, no, they're all pretty decent folks. Yeah, well, Jim's gone now, but Ken's up north somewhere, so nobody knows really what's going on with them anymore. But yeah, no, they were good.
And they went steady for a lot of years, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, jumping back and forth between logs and the highway and back to logs and
Lots of people did that jump around there. Pete, I know you all gravel, we haul gravel in the winter and, or logs in the winter and gravel in the summer, switching back and forth.
yeah.
Every time you went over, you were switching something around, doing something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, first 2 years I worked for Williams there, that's what I did, I hauled gravel with the old haze in the summer on the gravel crew, and then hauled logs in the winter.
That was back when there was company crews?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no contractors then, was there?
Oh, no, there's
Oh,
contractors.
there's still contractors there? Yeah. Yeah.
Who were they?
Well, Cecil and Blue Water.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't Blue Water yet then, was it? It was Rio River,
Mm-hmm.
I think Cecil was in there too,
and
and then,
then you had your outfit.
Cecil Ridge,
Yeah. Trying to think who else there was.
Goshchik.
Yeah, Albert was a contractor for a long time.
How many company crews?
Three. Three company crews. Yeah. Ross McIntosh ran one, and George Cameron,
I remember his, yeah.
and who was the other one? There's one more. Oh, Bill Moore. Remember? I remember Bill Moore used to work for Henderson Brothers. Yeah. He ran a company crew.
There was another logging contractor.
Right?
Anderson.
Yeah, Henderson Brothers. Yeah.
They were logging when I came here.
That was before my time.
Yeah, Harold and Roy Patrick and Delbert Johnson. When I first came, they were all working for Henderson Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And which Henderson's that, Brian?
That was all four brothers.
All four brothers.
Yeah.
So that's Dale's
Yeah,
uncles
Dale's,
and dad.
Bill, Bruce, Chick, and Hub. Yeah,
All the same outfit?
all the same outfit. Yeah. Yeah, they ran a good outfit.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I can remember his kids arguing with the Magnus twins there, whose trucks were better, the Kenworths or the Max.
The Max.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can remember Bill getting
yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I can remember Bill getting an argument with Roy Trask about which truck were better.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
Roy,
yeah.
Roy, it's the only time you ever saw Roy get mad. Oh.
Yeah, he never gets it.
Yeah, there was Roy too, eh, for
Yeah.
the Resio truck.
Yeah, there's lots of trucks.
And the merchant was Dale?
Mm-hmm.
Merchant,
I never did meet him. I just heard about it.
yeah.
Well, must have been 100 trucks in town
Yeah, one time there was a pile of them.
back in the days.
Yeah.
When we were cleaning out the reservoir for the Micah Dam there, they were all on the Big Bend Highway that went there.
That's right.
It was faster to go from Golden to, or Donald to Revelstoke and to Micah than it was to go from Donald to Micah. So it was 90 miles, 180 miles to go around Revelstoke, 90 miles to go to Micah from Donald. It was faster to go around. There were that many trucks on the
There's so many
road.
trucks parked up.
Oh,
It's just, the radio never quit.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
Oh, yeah. Empties said very little, but the loaders were just calling miles steady. And you had to remember, when you were meeting them, you try to remember about 5 or 6 vehicles coming at you.
Yeah.
All the time, and as you met one, you tried to pick up another
maybe
one.
the next one, yeah. Well, that winter here, like when there was 80 or 90 trucks out
Sullivan
the
there,
bend,
yeah.
everybody hauled on to Sullivan, that was,
Right. That was about the same.
that was the zoo.
I learned a good safety lesson from Ron on that winter there, because you'd block it out, there was so much traffic, you'd block it out, you were listening for loaded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And guys would call their miles before they call loaded.
Yeah.
And Ron told me call loaded or
Loaded
empty
first,
first.
yeah.
Because then you get their attention, and I've always done that since
And
then.
then call a mile then, because
Yeah,
most
yeah.
people call a mile in and say loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You know,
the,
so
the,
then
the
you
number
miss-
sticks in your head first.
Yeah, well, the number, you missed it because you weren't,
Yeah,
you
you
were
were blocking.
concentrating on something else.
Mhm.
Because you said loaded or empty first, then you knew what you had to listen to, eh?
Right.
I found it easier that way anyway.
Yeah, I've done it ever since. They always.
I don't think anybody went to the winter without a close call, or two. I remember me and Leftwich meeting in the dip at the 104. I totally missed his call, he was loaded. And then I see him coming down the hill, and I'm coming down the hill, so I start slowing down, moving over. I said, "You got enough room?" "Yeah, I'm not worried about you." He says, "I'm worried about the guy behind you." And I look in the mirror, he's one of Huxmeyer's trucks, he's all freaking sideways. Climbs the snowbank. "Okay, we're good now." That would have been my closest one that winter.
It's like me and you met on the Blue Water Bridge that day. You come down, I was driving that International.
Oh, yeah.
I got stopped on this side, you,
Oh,
you were working for Dale, and
oh, no, you barely got stopped. Yeah.
Really. But everybody's chattering on the CB's going constantly, that's why I figured I can't listen to two radios off with one all the time.
Yeah.
I couldn't listen to two radios.
You remember the ones that didn't make it that winter?
That didn't make it? Well, there was lots that winter. There was like one a week.
Out of town trucks.
That one poor guy thought that the mileage signs meant that was the speed. Remember, he drove right off the end of the arbor there.
Yeah.
Is that right? We're doing 70 clicks when I thought those were speed limit signs. He was a carpenter or something, helping his brother-in-law when we got talking to him. But
Oh yeah, there was one a week. The guy was at Mac there at the gravel pit up by Oak Creek, and went straight off, and then Trevor Stewart plopped that brand new one at the top of the hill, and how he did that. Who else was there?
Same winter as Chris Schapp fell asleep, Sleepy Hollow.
Was that the same winter?
I think so.
yeah, I think so.
Could have been, yeah. Jimmy Loza.
Jimmy Lowe's the one in the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else, who else?
Did Bert fall over at the checkerboard sign?
Bert, yeah, he
Right
got
on
the upside down. Yeah, because I picked him up that morning, and
That was just slippery.
yeah, in a strange truck, he don't even start driving it, had that stupid air clutch in it, so. Yeah, that's another one, so, yeah.
That one guy Archie McMillan picked up 3 times out in the Gold Road there. And he'd come down, fall over, come back to wheels, fall over. Finally, third time, just
Just like
sent him out, go home. He works for Sherrill, that one guy. He got 3 or 4 trucks. Sherrill's the main driver, isn't he? From around here. Or not from around here. He's
Ronnie Taylor.
Rumpelstiltskin?
No, no, he had 3 or 4 trucks. Can't remember his name. He
Works for Sure Hall now?
Yeah. Drives a little bit for him. I think it was the 3rd time he, no more.
No.
That was on the
Not
same.
smoker.
No. He still drives for him. I've seen him all the time.
I can remember old Ross Baker from Donnie one day, he says, "I'll ride out with you," he's the safety guy. "I'll ride out with you to the harbor, check things out." I said, "Well, yeah, there's." Called the wait a bit and down across there, and I get to the gravel pit, and here comes Kenny Taylor and Chris Schapp side by side. "What the hell's going on here?" He's got a hold of the dash, and I went into the gravel pit and by. I said, "Just relax, they do this to me all the time." So then when we got back, he said, "Who was that anyway?" I said, "Oh, that was
The safety guy.
Baker, the safety guy." "Holy jeez!" He never said a word to them, though. And they'd do that to you all the time.
Jeez.
Just check and see if you're awake, they'd tell me.
Yeah.
And when Junior backed up there, didn't Chris turn around and meet him backwards? Going backwards? Chris or Kenny, one of the two. They turned around and met him going backwards.
Is
one
that
day.
right?
They were, oh, he was mad because he kept putting it on hold that he was gonna back up there.
Yeah.
So one was ahead and I forget, it was one or the other. They called on the CB and said, "Junior's coming," so he spun it around and met him going backwards there on the road. And he was kind of, "You ignorant," and you know how he caught me. Yeah. There was lots of camaraderie in those days, though, eh? Like, everybody hung out together. We don't do that now.
No, nobody does it anymore.
Indeed, yeah, Presley. Another story about Junior. Backed all the way from the harbor to the Donald with a little logs on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you raised quite a bit of money, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what he donated it to, probably whiskey bottle, but.
No, I think it went to some cause.
Yeah,
sure it did.
Yeah. Legion or something like that.
Yeah, it was, must have had a pretty sore neck by then.
Yeah.
Be a little different these days, but
Yeah.
we'll be back in
No.
giant feet nowadays, you're doing good, some of them things.
All the configurations they got now.
Jack Leslie said when the hitchhikers were really bad there and where Dell's old house, Hollis, where the Humpies is, there was 2 of them leaning on their, with their packs there, with their feet out on the driven part of the road. So when Junior and Jackie said, I was right behind them, he said we'd come in and we had to go on the shoulder, because there was cars coming, they had to go around this guy. He said, when we left the mill there, he says, I'm right behind him. We pull out on the highway, he said, and Junior went right over onto the shoulder. And he said, he did that. Runs into the bush there and he ran right over all his stuff there. Jack was telling me this. He said, there were still feathers flying when we hit Donald, he said. And I could just see him doing it too. Yeah. Do stuff like that nowadays, you'd be in jail.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Lindsay was living in the trailer park in Donald. Him and Jeannie were hauling off the bend there. Told it, Junior, he said, why don't you just come down through here in the morning, because there was an entrance and it go down past the trailers and then it exit back out onto the road again. Down through there and give me a toot and horn. Wake up call. He bugged Junior quite a bit about this. And, okay, he said, I'll wake you up in the morning. So that night, Charlie told his wife, he said, I think we better get the candles out. So he got up early and he had breakfast, he was sitting there in the dark, and sure enough, here comes Junior. His stakes up, power line wires, everything come down. Spark flying, he was out. Yeah, he said, figured so.
Well, Brian, you mentioned Jerry Moulton, and he was your loaderman.
Yeah.
The huge part, we talked about this the last time too, about loadermen and logging.
Yeah.
A lot of your day depended on your loaderman.
Oh, yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
loading order stuff.
Still does.
Still does.
Yeah.
So a little bit about your loaderman.
Yeah.
Do you remember who might have been the most efficient, maybe the craziest, or there's a lot of loaderman stories. Sal could probably recite a few from a certain Mr. Imler.
Yeah,
Fish River comes to mind.
yeah, Norman,
Macintosh.
Yeah.
Johnny Mac, yeah.
Yeah, Ross McIntosh, he loaded for Arkansas when I first knew him, so we both worked together. And I can't remember the reason, Ross always used his own pickups, he had no radio. And I was telling Ray Imler about it just the other day. So one day, it was in the summertime and the Beaverfoot still gets awfully dusty. So I pulled off and I could see Ross behind me, I thought, the heck with it, you can eat my dust. Big mistake. So he followed me all the way to the landing. He was so mad he could hardly talk. He said, I shouldn't even load you. I never did that again.
You didn't want to piss off Archie either.
No, Archie Miller.
I remember when we hauled from him, when I worked for Milam.
Yeah.
You sat off the landing with your lights out.
That's right.
You were ready when you got on there.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't get a woolen, the next guy
That guy
really
got
got
behind you,
one.
yeah.
Because Archie was mad by then, because you were.
Even when he was happy though, he threw the load slip out the window and we had to
Well, he's
catch it in the mud.
Yeah, the door.
Yeah,
He was probably the most temperamental loaderman ever.
He,
But he was good at loading.
good.
Oh, he's good.
But all the lessons you learn there make you the best truck driver in the world, because everybody else
Very
loved you after
considerate.
that. Yeah.
I was logging up in Posey there, and he was loading for me, and we were pulling in two ways, like we pulled a bunch of stuff in, we were pulling in this way and pulling in this way. And we, Buckerman, they'd get that, drag all done up, and then they would go to the other side. Time he'd get that cleaned up, another drag would come in, eh? So it worked out really good. At dinner time, the loaderman parked the skidder, or the skidderman rather, parked the skidder in behind the logs. So he went to get a hold of him, he couldn't get a hold of him, and then he got pushing. And he just about upset the loader.
that
Or
right?
the skidder.
Skidder.
Yeah, he had it right up on his side, just ready to go. Finally backed down. He was mad because it was in his way, and I
It was
said,
in the way.
"Oh, right, get a hold of all the logs now."
Ray Imler would have pushed it right over.
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I had to buy Archie a case of beer, because I couldn't get out. I spun out, trying to get out of there. So Archie had to go back, get a loader, push me uphill. He says, well, you owe me a case of beer.
Yeah.
So I went and bought him a case of beer. But if I could have just left me there, we'd be sitting all night anyways. Why am I buying you a case of beer? But I never thought about it. I was just happy to get out of there. Yeah, you're sitting there with three guys.
Yeah.
We could just sit here all night if you want. But,
You know how to get a case of beer?
you know, yeah. Mind you, help him drink it too. So that was all right. At least he shared.
And Andy Anderson was top notch loader.
Yeah, he was really good. Yeah, and good natured.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he put me in my place there the first first time I ever got near him when we were loading out of the harbor there.
Mhm.
And they're loading with Laterno and he was poking everything in on the other side and I said something to him. He's like, you just drive your truck. He says, I'll take care of the loading. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
he had to be about the nicest loaderman I did, you know, for temperament and a good loaderman, very good loaderman.
Ernie Fiefenroth is another
Yeah,
good-natured guy.
oh yeah.
And a good loaderman too. Yeah.
Paul Valhor, he was,
Yeah, he loaded the first load of logs on me.
yeah,
Paul Valpar. Yeah.
yeah.
He shot a moose one day going to work. We helped him load in his pickup, and we were hauling out of Marion Lake. Remember we logged up there for Miller?
Yeah.
And when Frank Priest pulled up, he said, you know what Frank was like, how come all these trucks are parked here? Well, they had the moose hanging from the tongs on the loader, and they were gutting it.
No,
Frank was mad because we were
first things
overcharged.
first.
I can't repeat what he said. He didn't care about the moose.
I remember he was hauling the Fish River. Frank was, when he was older there, and I think he had a driver, he told me, and the driver made one trip and he made the rest.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he made the driver's night trip and his day trip, so that's
Yeah.
20 hours.
Yeah, he double shifted himself.
And
He was
came
probably
out
the
on-
hardest working man I ever know.
Yeah.
He came on the bend and I met him, pulled over, he went by and everything, and then pretty soon, say Mark, where are you? Well, I already met you, Frank. No. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What do you do by the scales of Kamloops there though? Who scooped them on the Kamloops Hill,
Oh,
hauling Cache Creek, and then he got him back because the truck that scooped him was sitting on the scale deck weighing through, and
Frank went right by.
the empty lane there blew right through there. I don't think he ever went through there again.
Right.
They stopped.
Yeah.
No,
That was when we were hauling Cache Creek, and
that was a notorious place to go across. Way back then anyway.
we'd all be cutting wood off down at the prison there.
Yeah.
Overweight.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, old Jungle Jim lived in Kamloops there. I picked him up one day to take him to the creek and back.
Yeah.
And I was overweight on the dog, and I went across there like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, cut more off. And finally got it. Well, it was close, but he still wanted me to cut more off. And I got mad at him, and I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm going to Cache Creek, whatever. And a few other words that I won't repeat. And headed back to the truck, and Jim goes, "We okay now?" I said, "Yeah, we're good now." He says, "Well, that maybe you want me to go in there and straighten them out." And I said, "No, no." I said, "We're gonna have enough trouble here now in a minute anyway." But they never did come after me.
That would have been a WCB thing back then, all the guys standing on top of the loads.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I think it went
No
for
phone
10
straight
and a
then in
half
those days.
I can remember Bill Driver, when he worked for us at Cecil's there, and Brian was there, and he'd be in and out of the truck, up and down, and he was so hyper, and Brian went and put a rock underneath his throttle pedal.
Oh, I
And
remember
come
that.
down off the hill there, yeah, that pier built there.
Yeah, the old green beat. Yeah.
Come down off the hill there and planted his foot in the floor, because he was going, and nothing happened. Holy cow, the fuel filters are plugged up, so he got out and he changed the fuel filters. Brian come down, pulled the rock out, try that. Oh, he was mad.
Jim Williams had a problem, something like that too. One day we were all on the Gold River, and it was before the old snow road.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, when they
All
followed
the
the
flats
river.
there, yeah, following the river. Oh, it was terrible. But anyway, he came down off the hill, and I said, I don't know what's wrong. He was parked there, he was working on his truck there for quite a while, putting fluid in the line, brake lines. He said his brakes are dragging, he can't get them off. So I pulled up, and I said, well, that's kind of strange. So he hit the pedal like that, but when he let it go, it didn't exhaust the way I thought it should have sounded. So I reached in and grabbed the pedal, and I gave it a pull. And it went, rest of it.
Yeah, the rock under.
Snow and ice built up under the pedal. I said, maybe clean that out when I worked there. Well, he gave me a look. I thought, I'm getting out of here. He jumped my truck and left, but pretty soon I heard him going down the road.
That happened to me too. The guy who works for you actually now, he phones me up and says, truck won't move, it's parked in the yard. He's got a set of chains on, bone dry, just truck sitting there on the flat ground, just 2 big holes dug, chains on, can't go anywhere. I think there's a bigger problem than just, you're not stuck. So I look, yeah, brake lights are on.
Yeah.
When he goes,
Oh, no.
three holes are still in the yard. He dug right to the axle and dry dirt.
Wound right up.
Oh, mad.
Yeah.
This thing won't move. Pull up the brake pedal a little bit. Because the front brakes were locked right on.
He did tell me the other day he didn't think he was ever gonna learn how to drive a truck.
Back then I'd ride with anybody, so I
Nowadays it's a little more choosy.
just. No, but I meant whoever come along, if they take
Oh,
me
yeah,
away,
when
I
you're
went.
young, yeah, but
Yeah.
when you're older and smarter, you
Yeah.
choose about who you
Yeah,
are. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, everybody's got their coffee filled up, so let's go back to it and talk maybe about, have you ever tipped over? And how many times? And whereabouts?
Once. No. Yeah, actually physically tipped over.
It's your story, Sal.
Oh. Fish River, going down the Beaton, and drive for Dale Weber. And had brand new winter radial tires on, and met the grader coming up the hill in the snow. It was real heavy wet stuff, and he had a straight blade on. And after I went past him, it just took off. And I'm like trying to get it in the snowbank, trying to get it stopped, and there was a ditch, so I kind of got in the ditch, and there was an approach there, and I hit the approach, and it bounced me back out onto the road, and then down the hill I went, around the corner, and I thought, okay, I got it made. Truck stalled, got it started, and just got it started, and just got it back in gear, and I was 3/4 of the way around the corner, just about where the shortcut takes off, and there's a big lump of snow on the road, and I hit that, and that's just enough, it just got me going, and then I just went right straight across the road and hit the bank, and then fell over, threw the trailer and everything off, and sat there for a sec. I was on the door on the floor, on the passenger side by then, and then I just kind of went back on the wheels. But that's the closest to tilt I've been on. Dumped lots of loads, here and there, but that's the only tilt I was ever really on. I'll never forget that one though. Then the grader operator comes down, and I tied into him about having a straight blade and plowing snow and turning everything to ice. But he didn't share the same concern I did. Didn't matter to him.
I waited quite a while to tip over 3 weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Right.
Yeah.
Never heard about that.
I'm surprised lots of people never heard about it. Everybody thought I just took the new truck from Tim. Took it for a reason.
Was Cecil's theory was 10 years and 3 dump loads and then you'd be a truck driver.
Yeah.
Till then you're just playing.
Yeah, dumped a couple of loads of logs, but the worst thing I had happen was just coming back for our second trip. I was working for Kennick. It was a combination of Ken Kaiser and IK Logging, Dave Phillips. And it was a 69 Kenworth. And I dumped the first load at Donald. That's when they were still separate, Donald and Golden. And I was coming back and rookie, driving too fast for the conditions. And I was okay, except I come around the corner. Actually, it's just west of Cadillac Tony's. And there was a guy, I remember the family from Donald. And they were going about 10 miles an hour. And I cut up behind them, and just as I was going to go past, because I couldn't stop, it was oncoming traffic, so by the time that traffic went by, I don't know if you remember that or not. It was before you came
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
back. And by the time that, it was in 1971, I believe. And by the time the traffic went by, I lost control of the truck because I didn't want to run into that car. And I went into a skid. And I had lots of practice dealing with skids, but I didn't have enough road left. And then I went off on the railroad side and I rolled the truck there.
No?
Yeah. That was pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
That was the worst thing that was happening to me. So I certainly learned from that.
Yeah. Hard
You
lesson.
can maybe stay on the road yourself, but you gotta watch out for
Other people, yeah.
catching up to people. Yeah.
And the guy has a lot of luck over the years when you look back, eh? Like that could.
Yeah. The man, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. He was horrified. He said, "I've never seen anything like that in my life." I said, "Well, I've never done anything like that before either." Luckily, the trucks were tough in those days and it didn't take long to get her fixed and I was back to work.
Oh yeah, nowadays would be,
Be nothing left of
just
it.
go get a new truck.
Fiberglass everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Ron?
Yeah, I've dumped a few, all right. I think probably the worst one, or the hairiest one I ever had was on Wiseman Hill. It was all at night shift there, and come down the hill, it was just a sheet of ice. Down, and of course, I had no control of it. I was just aiming it down there more than anything. And in the corner there used to be highway trucks. They were called gill transfer, and they were single axle, and they were where there was a hill, there was a gill. Eh?
Got 220s.
Yeah, and it had came around the corner, the Wiseman corner, and it was spun out right there. And when I came down, I thought it was the back end of a vehicle down the road right further in the corner. Eh? So I moved over a little bit, and I thought I could miss them and go through there. Eh? As I got closer, it was raining, wintertime, lights in that old Pacific were pretty bad. When I got closer, I realized it was the side of a van I was looking at, and I was headed for the side of it. And so I pulled as much as I could. It of course slid. The front of the truck came over gradually a little bit, but the bullboard in that caught the back end of the van, flipped the van right over into the snowbank. I went over, it threw me then in against the guardrail on that side, and then it threw me, when I hit the guardrail, that threw me back, and I went right across the road and into the ditch on the other side with the truck. The load then swung right around, pulled me back out of the ditch, and then went in over backwards. Hit it right the full length of the load. Jeez. There I sat. Called Junior on the radio, I said, the road's got a problem down here, so. He came down very carefully.
Yeah.
Right tight against the snowbank to hold him. There was a little bit of traction right tight to the edge of the snowbank. But down there, and he parked right in front of me, and his trailer then started to slide towards me on the crown of the highway, eh? Right in the corner. So I grabbed a chain off my truck, wheel chain, tire chain, and threw it on his wheel. He pulled onto it and see it there. Now the road's closed. The cops came along and they wanted him to get that truck out of there so we can, well, he told that cop where to go real quick. He just left him alone. The sand trucks had the sand coming backwards through there. The grader comes along, by this time there's a lineup of traffic all around the corner. Grader comes chomping along there, and he slid sideways right into a car. Put the woman's shoulder out of joint in the car. It was really a bad scene. Yeah, they had to back through there, sanding, going through there backwards, so, to get sand in.
Yeah, I remember Barry telling me about that, because he was hauling with you guys then.
Yeah, he was driving for Rio River.
People don't fall over as much as they used to, I don't think. Trucks are
Better
better.
roads, better roads.
The trucks are way better than this.
Yeah.
And what about you, Mark?
I've had 3 or 4 upsets, and the worst one was the accident with Ken Taylor, which was, my radio wasn't working, but still I deem it a lot of my fault, because I should have been paying more attention. But when neither one of us got hurt, so I guess that was the main thing.
I can remember when that happened, at the end of the day, I think you were already at our shop, and then remember Taylor came in with a full bottle of rye?
Yeah.
And took the cap off it and threw it in our, said we should have a drink.
Yeah, both here to drink it.
Yeah.
What's the label do?
I can remember the hood coming up, I could see his hood come up when I first hit him there,
Yeah.
and I thought it cut his head off.
Is that right?
Yeah, and the logs going by there, and I was still steering it, and I thought, well, maybe I should lay down, because I ain't doing any good here.
Yeah.
I laid down in the seat, and then I got out and ran around the front,
Yeah.
my truck and around his load, because I thought he's dead for sure. Eh?
Yeah.
I got to the truck, and he wasn't there, and he was up crawling over the backside of mine to look and see with, yeah. But it can happen so quick, eh? And,
Yeah. Time Jack Leslie ran into, actually they both ran into each other, similar situation at the 22 and a quarter there in Beaverfoot,
Billy Jack.
just past Porcupine Creek, remember that wide sweeping corner? You wouldn't know the kilometer signs now. Porcupine Creek used to climb up and then down around and then
Oh, yeah.
the wide corner, and it's an easy one to cut off.
Mhm.
Well, that's what Bill Huxmeyer did, and there's old Jack Leslie right there,
Yeah.
it's flat. So when they hit Jack's knee, he always had Hank Snow tapes. His knee kicked in. When I got there, Jack was laughing like crazy, and I said, "What are you laughing about?" He said, "Well, my knee pushed the tape in, and there's old Hank Snow singing On the Road Again." No, it wasn't. It wasn't These Reels or something like that. Yeah.
Or I've been everywhere.
Everything almost patched up, but Jack's laughing.
You find humor in anything like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Probably the nicest man you'll ever meet, that guy. When we were kids there, he used to treat us all like gold, eh?
Yeah.
Dad
he's
and
a
all the
good guy.
guys were up there, having a few, and Jack always made sure the kids are good,
Yeah.
which usually were,
Yeah, he's a
take
good
much,
guy.
keep
He was a
happy
prince of
then.
the guy.
Yeah.
Probably the nicest guy in the world, that guy.
Oh, yeah, he was always good.
We were hauling out of Czar Creek. That's before they flooded the lake, so it was Kinbasket Lake. And Ball Brothers had a camp there. And I forget whose truck I was driving. Oh, Ross Magnus. I was driving for Ross Magnus, and Jack had his own truck. And they de-watered right there. They bought a little towboat, brought it across. And Bill Ball was loading logs, and Jack ventured out, and he thought he was standing on the brow log, but actually it was the log that was floating. Next thing you know, he disappeared. He went right out of sight. Pretty soon he comes scrambling up. We just laughed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all laughed too.
All the time Pete was hauling logs too, eh?
Pete Ogden.
Dick. 'cause
Oh,
he-
Pete Dick, yeah.
talked
Yeah,
about
he
that
hauled
pretty
us a
good
lot.
too there.
Yeah.
He'd hang around there all the time. We were
Yeah.
John,
Yeah.
ride with him every chance you got. Little freaking screaming Jimmy, and that you had one
Western
for a while
Star,
too.
yeah.
You get home, your ears are ringing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to happen to doing that, them things. Dad's old International, it had 318 in it. And there was no insulation on the back of the cab, it just was two windows in the metal, like you just could bang, 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 it was like, there was nothing there, so.
Yeah.
That old girl was pretty loud.
And even those LW Kenworths, they seemed like a great truck in the day, but they were terribly noisy.
Oh, yeah, really nice.
Because the shutters would open and the fans, you could already hear yourself think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Air wipers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming down through the snow sheds with Pete there, and my window was filthy, because the wiper didn't work.
Yeah.
I could see the lights of or the reflection of the end of the snow shed, and he's just not even slowing down, and they go, hanging in, shit, I was only a kid then.
Yeah.
I was terrified, 'cause I'd never seen anything all the way from Revelstoke to home. And he's just driving along like everything's good.
Yeah, right.
No problem.
No problem there.
Like the time the transmission went out of the truck, Cecil, or with Crease there. He said, well, we'll get Ronnie to come out, Myers to come out and pull you with Betger's tow bar.
Oh,
It was like,
right.
all it was a piece of metal with two eyes in it, about this long.
Yeah.
So we hooked on, away we went, and I'm thinking, oh, this is nice, I can't see nothing, eh? And I'm on the brakes and screwing things up, and finally I got thinking, this guy's a top-notch driver, I'll just sit back here and relax, and we had no more problems after that. But it's hard to get used to, because you're right there, eh? And you
Can't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that thing.
Yeah.
That tow bar got used a lot.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, somebody told one of my own trucks to Cranbrook like that.
Right.
I ain't getting that thing. No way Ross has told me to Cranbrook. Pat took the truck to Cranbrook, and I went and drove his for the day. We wouldn't run or anything in a shitty day.
Yeah.
Nah, it's okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this was, it was dustier than heck out there.
Yeah,
Then,
yeah,
when I
yeah.
picked you up. Oh, we could talk to each other anyway. We had to radio.
Yeah.
Turn left, Mark.
Yeah, yeah.
We still use them in the States too, eh? Like, look on Facebook and all that, I got the
Yeah.
West Coast log
Yeah.
truckers down there.
Yeah.
They still tow each other around
Do
down
they?
there.
Oh, yeah.
That way.
It works.
Imagine what they do now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think anything wrong with it, but
Well, it's, as long as it's attached better than
Mhm,
what they used to do.
mhm.
Safety change, way to go.
That's right.
You sure had it a lot tougher in the old days than we had it, like Brian's saying, when you dumped the load there, everybody'd get there and lift the bunk back on by hand. They had
Yeah.
enough guys and,
Yeah.
you know, you'd never think of doing that now. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's amazing what 10 guys can do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Especially along the home.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Probably more of that than anything.
Yeah.
So safety has changed a lot. When we talked with the men last week, they were talking about the lack of it when they started in the late 50s and early 60s compared to what it is now. You're kind of wrapped in a nice bubbled cocoon these days, but it wasn't always that way.
No. No. Well, just like the safety chains mentioned on the log trailers, in those days, they didn't have anything. K&S, one of Tinkstead's trucks came in, the kicking horse went across the tracks and bump, 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 and a lot of his stuff was pretty old and shaky anyway. The pintle hook opened, and when he went around the corner, the trailer just went straight ahead and upset a load of logs on, I think, 5 cars. Because the whole crew were parked there. So yeah, no, things have improved. Yeah.
Poor old Bert Tresk pulling out of lower courts a few years back there, and all of a sudden he come on, you know, how excited he gets. He was almost 80 then. He gets on the radio and he says, "Squint, you might want to park." He says, "I just pulled out from under my load and it's going down the hill without." And that's exactly how he said it. And I'm picturing all this because I'm on the other road there, and Dale said, "Park, Bert." Yeah, he says, "It's still going quite nicely," he said, "with my trailer attached to it, and I'm sitting up here, and it went for quite a ways down the road
Really?
and then hung up." Yeah, it was that steep that he pulled right out. That was as excited as he got. And Squinter, he's just as excited about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm parked, Bert, he says.
It'll sort us out.
Yeah, we should, he mentioned him, he hauled till he was 81, eh, old
Yeah.
Bert.
Yeah.
I think he said he started when he was
14 or something.
14
Yeah.
or 15, yeah.
I don't know.
And you do the math.
Did he tell you?
14.
14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you drive truck the whole time?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the one.
Never walked in anything else?
I don't recall him ever doing anything else since I started driving in 70.
Who, Bert?
When I came,
We ran cat quite a bit when they were logging.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I started driving in 78,
He's back trucking now.
he was trucking, yeah, that's all he ever did ever since.
It was interesting, I went to an antique truck show in Yakima, and they gave a lot of 50-year things out. And the majority of the guys started when they're 15, 16 years old. And it was like absolutely hilarious how many of them were still in their 80s, still driving, and still liking it. It was absolutely incredible.
Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes just a way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them down there are pretty diehard. You see them on the West Coast loggers or
Mhm.
some of them old timers. That's all they right till the day they die. It's all they do. Eh? No such thing as retiring.
No.
I remember when I went to get my license there, the guy said, do the pre-trip, so I did all that. And top it. We went round the old courthouse, up to the Shell, around over the overpass and back to the courthouse. I think I failed. That's all there is to it. Oh, God, what did I do wrong? He gets out and he said, "Yeah, we'll go and write your license up." I said, "I got it." Yeah, he says, "You're like the rest of those jade drivers." He said, "You've been driving for years," he said, "without a license." Because most of them went in, they'd been driving for 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
went in with a load of logs on and said, "Come on, I gotta go dump this." And so he said, and I'd never done that, but yeah, carry on, he said.
Artie Taylor.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many years did he drive? He had nothing.
Well, it had to be 10 years. I
Yeah.
believe.
He never had a license.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
First
think
time-
Harley actually got his license after I did, but he was probably driving 10 years.
Gordy
older than I.
Hughes and Wally and all those guys.
Yeah.
They just started with Cecil and no license.
Yeah. They didn't like to do the test.
I drove for Pete for a year, drove dump truck with no license.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. government shut them down, falling on the highway.
Oh.
Wouldn't let me go on the highway anymore. So. Stuck me on the Blue Water Hill when they built that, the new Blue Water there.
Oh, right.
Oh, right.
Gravel there. For,
You didn't need a license there.
no.
Yeah, I was driving for Larry Weber then. All on one side and then, yeah, there's another crew on the other side.
Yeah, the juniors giving me shit, telling me I should put chains on.
Yeah.
I come up around the old switchback and there he's laying on his side, no chains. See, that's why I told you to put chains on. He's just pissed right off. And I still had no chains on, lower gravel, just up and take off and leave. Couldn't drive there anymore either after they, Evans or whoever was in.
Right.
Clamped down.
License. Couldn't drive there anymore either. So.
Probably forced to go get it, eh?
No, I went work for the railroad for a few years.
Oh.
I was too young. Getting me 19, and I was 16.
No, you can get your class 3, like,
Yeah, I never thought
I got that when well, yeah, I think I got mine when I was 17 or 18. Got my class 3. But I hauled logs for a year, but they just kept me off highway off at the bend in the Donald there. Then finally that October I could get my class 1, so just drove right up to the courthouse and went for my test.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "How'd you get the truck here?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Friend brought
my
it.
boss drove it in here and
Yeah.
left it here." And he goes, "Yeah,
He believed you.
yeah, okay, let's go."
I don't think I got mine till I was 25, 26 on there. Long time.
If you had an opportunity to see a newspaper, the front of a newspaper that said Columbia Valley's greatest driver, whose picture would be on it?
Gotta
It's
be
a hard one.
Yeah, it's a number.
Dale Weber's probably one of my favorites.
Who's that?
Dale.
Weber?
Yeah. Never says a word,
Yeah.
just goes, never misses a day.
It makes it look pretty easy and it's always under control. Yeah, oh, he'd
Always.
be a good choice. Yeah.
Ray Fuse in that conversation?
Reviews, yeah.
Barry,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of guys that.
Yeah, they're all,
Ron Myers.
It'd be hard to pick just
Brian
one.
Yeah.
it would be hard to pick one. I mean, we've got
Everybody's got their thing.
so many of them that are so good, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, most of them learned by riding with other guys. There was none of this school stuff. You went and you rode. You wanted to be a driver. It wasn't, and you didn't get paid. You
Right.
just went and hopped in with them and sort of
Just
just
to
that
learn.
way. Yeah.
To
Yeah.
learn, yeah.
Now they want the schooling and then they want to get paid to go and ride. Because I've had guys come to our shop there and I went and got the course and nobody hired me. I have no experience. I said, "Well, go down and see Kenny Lehman." I said, "And just ride with those guys. Just get in. Pretty soon you'll be driving. You'll have a job." And, "Oh, well, they don't pay for doing that." Well, then obviously you don't want to drive very bad. That's the way I look at it.
Who taught you most? Like, I don't know, Pete taught me, my dad, Brian taught me. The other half of what I know. Still gotta go back for a few lessons once in a while to get, what am I doing wrong?
You just hopped in with anybody and everybody and,
Yeah.
and you learn from them all.
Pat Milan, he taught me lots,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
because he knew all of it.
Oh, yeah.
And a guy like Cecil Dredge, he gave you the chance to.
Yeah, he give you the chance, yeah.
Sometimes with no training, there it is,
Yeah.
fly at her.
Yeah, Ronnie Allison was like that too. Holy Toledo, he just give you a truck and here, go do this.
Yeah.
And left town, he didn't know if he ever come back again.
That's basically the way I learned. Got in it and went.
Yeah, yeah,
Anything I learned it on my own.
yeah.
I showed up one time to move a D8 and the guy said, "Are you sure you can do this?" "Oh yeah, yeah." I was scared stiff.
Didn't have a clue.
I tried to get a job, like the same day I had 2 jobs. Nobody would hire me, and then buyers gave me a job. They were running 3-4 days a week, whatever it was. Larry said, well, I guess if they'll hire you, I'll hire you. So next thing you know, it was happening for Larry. But nobody would hire me up until that day.
Yeah.
No.
So somebody else would have to give it to you. Take a chance. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess I'll give you a chance. I already had to quit a job, and I never had a job.
Had a job, yeah.
West, I guess, when they had them yellow Macs. I rode with him a little bit.
Right.
And then still really couldn't get a job anywhere. And then Williams was were putting that old gravel truck together, so I went and rode with Kenny for a year. And that riding with somebody else and watching the mistakes they make if they make a mistake and
It's good
stuff
training.
like that. Oh yeah, I don't think there's anything better.
You're learning from his experience.
That's right.
Same as my son there. He's probably got 100 kilometers under his belt already.
Mhm.
He drove out of Beaverfoot there once already.
Yeah.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
I can remember walking home from school at Alexander Park there, and Keith English would go by and you'd hop in with him. And I said, you wouldn't do that today, mind you, but he must have stopped and told Dad at the shop or something that I was with him, because they never worried about me. And you just stopped in.
It was a
when you
different
went.
time back then.
Yeah.
Well, he used to often ride fuse all the time because he was our neighbor there. Just every time he got a new truck, I'd try to be the first one to go ride with him.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, not all the time. I used to ride around him lots.
Used to haul gravel from the fuse pit behind the A&W to Kickenhorse in for in the mill yard. And Dale Fuse would ride with me all day. And it was monotonous for me. I don't know how he could handle it.
Yeah.
It's either Dale or Wayne. Wayne never followed up a career of trucking, but
No.
Dale certainly did.
Yeah.
He's a good driver.
Yeah.
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 They didn't give him a lot of credit when he first started. He had a rough time, but once he got
Remember
going,
that.
he was all right.
Others still on quite a bit.
Yeah.
Slow, and yet still does the same job every
Still-
day.
He does.
Makes his trips, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get a hard time for driving slow too, because especially when I'm unloading other guys. You know, I do speed limit and take a break every couple hours. And they're all, they want to get going or they want to get back, but I'm not slowing up their progress. But I really don't worry about it too much. It's a rare thing, but I know, yeah, in the past, same thing, eh? Too slow. I don't care. I think you've got some pride in what you do and take care of your stuff, and that speaks down the line when you're looking for a job.
That's right.
Go down to that race course down south there. Them guys, I'm
Yeah.
80, 90 click an hour all the way, and road's rough, it's a terrible road.
Yeah.
And just flogging along, you get these guys zipping by you all the time, right on your ass.
Yeah.
Stay there. No place to pass, and I'm not going any faster, so
Well, that's
it's
right.
just the way it's gonna be.
I'm hearing a lot of gratitude for those guys that would take the time to let you ride with them and help you to get your starts. But what about your families? What about your being married, I think, to with some experience. Being married to somebody who's away from home as much takes a lot of backup at home.
Certainly does.
And how long have you been married, Ron?
50 years.
Brian?
Yeah,
40.
going on 51 years now.
I went back on logs this winter, and my wife, I thought she was gonna have me committed for insane asylum. She said, "You're crazy." The best part is I really enjoyed it.
That's a nice job out there, though.
Sure it is.
Road's good,
Got good guys to work with, doesn't get any better. Yeah.
nobody pushing you.
So,
I laugh at Bev, she can always tell when the roads are bad because I bring my lunch home.
Oh,
oh, really?
Yeah, I get nerved up.
Oh,
and,
really?
And she said, the roads weren't good today. And lunch comes home.
Really?
Oh, the roads were good, I've eaten my lunch.
oh,
That's funny, eh?
I can't make mine last past 10 o'clock.
That's the good thing about the job, that you can eat when you want.
That's right.
You're
You're your own
all
boss.
day. Hungry, have a bite, tired, have a sleep.
I remember my first breakup at John's
Not
when
when
he
you're driving.
hired me there.
No.
Brian and I were there working on the trucks and the crew's all there working on stuff. And Brian said, "You want to go for coffee?" I said, "Sure." So we're packing up to go for coffee and John said, "Where the hell are you two going?" "We're going for coffee." "Well, I don't pay you to go for coffee." And Brian said, "You ain't paying us, so we'll go when we want." Oh, I'll come with you, he said. So made the crew stay there because he was paying them by the hour. So and we do that every day at breakup, just whenever we wanted to go. John would come with us. So.
Probably make you buy him coffee too.
Yeah.
That was almost the end of an era too, when he
Yeah, that was a real tragedy when he died.
Yeah,
Yeah, it seemed like everything went for a shit after that.
yeah,
The whole logging industry.
Mhm.
Nobody stuck together, everybody's fighting.
I can remember going to a truckers meeting one time and Cecil paid Stump to Dump. They were all mad because he was paying Stump to Dump.
Mhm.
And finally I said, he pays the same rate as the mill pays, doesn't he? Yeah. And I said, have you ever not been paid? And Dale Weber said, no, we haven't. That's the end of that conversation.
Mhm.
Yeah, nobody ever accused Cecil of that.
Yeah.
It seems to me like, from what I've heard, that the culture, the logging culture has really changed. That now this is conversations coming from Ron Jr. that I've had with him. That a normal Saturday, a normal weekend was spent away from home, just like the rest of the week. You were either in the lodge or at somebody's shop, and that's how you spent your weekend. How much has that
Preparing your truck
changed?
for the next week,
Yeah.
getting
How-
it ready for the next week. Fixing lights, mud flaps,
Yeah.
all kinds of things. You always had to service your vehicle, truck on the weekend.
It still happens.
Still like that.
Yeah,
But nobody hangs around like we used to.
No,
You go home and that's it.
yeah.
That's what I find anyway.
No, it used to be everybody went for coffee in the morning before they went to work, and
Yeah.
went for coffee after work.
Or on night shift, you always went for lunch once you got in, or breakfast.
Yeah.
Everybody went. And if you got rained out on night shift, you phoned all the wives and you went to the bar. Young, old, because you weren't gonna ruin your sleep pattern, eh? And they came down and were the drivers, eh?
I think the only place in town like that still is the fuse shop.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
hub of everything. There's
Yeah.
more logging trucks in that one corner than there is
Yeah.
in the rest of town.
That's quite a fraternity down there, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a bunch down there again last night.
Was there?
Yeah.
Lots of beer drank in that place still.
And they're not hauling logs anymore.
Yeah, it's break up now.
And Dad said it was, when he was here, he said it was Friday night, straight to the bar, and fighting and drinking.
Really?
Yeah, and he said they just live for that, eh? And he said now it's totally different. And he said even the town's different when he comes back.
Yeah.
So there was 4 bulk stations. There was 4 car dealerships.
Yeah.
All that's gone. There was spinning, it's all gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's a completely different town now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Logging's only a portion of what it used to be now.
Yeah.
Real small portion.
Yeah.
What was there before, like 20, 15 contractors?
Yeah.
50, 60, 70 trucks probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now was there 20 trucks,
3 contractors.
3 contractors?
Yeah.
Imagine they make a lot, they make probably the same amount of wood as 10
Right.
contractors did back then anyways.
Wow,
Yeah.
they don't need as many men.
We've worked ourselves out of work, actually. We're so efficient now.
Mhm.
We used to have 27 guys and how many skid machines? 5, 6? And now we have 10 guys and 2 skid machines. That's counting our secretary or.
Right, the whole crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably do more wood than.
Oh, yeah, we can't
Than
even
before.
keep up there. eh?
Yeah.
And no fallers anymore, eh?
Very few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the only 2 fallers I know are David Brock and Esser Warren.
More
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else follow anyone?
No idea, I've been out of the business for so long now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple more, I can't
Is there?
Hysteric.
remember. Is there? That's one is-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But even they, they fall, then they go run a machine, and then they go fall. Dave Brock spends as much time on the machine as he does probably falling nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, the wood isn't even touched by hand anymore. They're like, the crews there ahead of us now, that never happened before.
Yeah.
The crew beat the trucks out there. They're skidding already when you get there.
Yeah, that's really something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I call them running shoe loggers now.
Yeah, yeah.
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 Half of where I was hauling there this winter, some of the machines never had a pair of boots in them.
Right.
They hop in the machine and nice and comfy, socks and
Yeah.
everything's clean. And,
Yeah, totally different.
yeah, processor operator, that machine's never seen a pair of boots.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Like Glenn's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little excessive.
A little excessive, but no, so.
But it's,
There's lots of guys that are like that though.
but nice equipment too, sure, stereos and more comfortable in most vehicles you drive.
Oh, yeah.
The same with the trucks too, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the new trucks now are so comfortable, it's not even funny.
Look how far they've come since you and I started, and Dan
Oh,
and
yeah.
Gino, and think of what these two have seen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
From walking up the hill passing it
That's
to,
actually,
Yeah. Well, just like yesterday, I drove that old 95 in the yard down there moving some wood back and forth and then jumped in my new one to come home and I was like, holy cow. That's only going back to a 95. But,
right?
I remember we cut the tree in our yard there and it had a million winds, and Bev's gonna help me. That'd be a logger, so.
Okay.
Anyway, at the end of the day, she was worn out. She said, I'll come and get you that Gobbler's gravel truck was an old 78 Kenworth.
Oh, yeah.
So we left her car at Grand's there and went to dump the load up behind the golf course there. She got in, she said, oh my God, look, there's a hole in the floor. And she went, and I said, well, this is what I learned to drive in. And I said, how would you like to go to Toronto and back in this thing? I wouldn't, she says, and the old steering wheel you had to, it was so worn out.
Vickers steering.
Yeah, and she doesn't even know anything, but she knew right away that that wasn't the truck for us.
And Dad's old truck, though, I think the one was a 72. Keep my feet off the floor because the floor was so hot
Right. Yeah.
when we were kids.
Yeah, sometimes it used to smolder, it'd catch fire.
Yeah. I remember I was in the Okanagan before I came here. I was driving a white Mustang. It was about a 200 horsepower gas motor.
Yeah.
And it would just, we had a place there called the Shuswap Hill. It was a rough bluff and it was a pretty steep climb. So you're right down in granny gear all the way up to, you just get up and stand on the running board because it was so hot in the manifold. You can see the manifold had the sides off of the, just the top part of the hood on it. It was cherry red. It is cherry red. It was unreal. The heat, oh my God, stand up on the running board.
Right. Keep cool.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it was just too hot in the cab.
Cecil had a picture of an old Mac that he had up at his office there in Dawn. It had a load of poles on it, and they were stuck right out over the top of the hood.
Right.
And he was telling me, he said, when you came through the rock cut, he said, if you didn't have those poles right, it wouldn't turn.
Oh.
So you had to
Well,
loosen the
it's,
wrappers and drive into the rock
Push them back.
and push them back until you could get around there. And I'm
Jeez.
thinking, how many guys would think of that today?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to all poles like that. too.
Yeah. That'd been quite an excursion, eh? When
Mhm.
Our dad held pole like that too. I sat for the whole time looking at this.
Yeah, bug your head in on the dash. Yeah.
It was hauling up in the
Coming through the cab too.
Adams River up there, and they hauled into, I think it was into Davenby. And when they took those off, like they were 90, 100 footers, they'd hook onto the back end and pull them off so that they were flat on the ground, and when
Okay.
that butt came down, just slapped the ground, it wouldn't break them. They couldn't pick them up, they just, in the middle, there was just,
Well,
oh yeah, but it's just easier to pull them off that way and get all the long ones off, and then they could unload them.
Oh. Now you just stick a steering wheel in and roll a couple loads over else,
yeah, see the one guy, he's really set up.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, there's a couple of them running around now.
Yeah.
All them long ones.
Maybe 120 footers.
You loaded everything by the head, so that when you put those long ones on, they were, you know, you could clear the cab.
Oh, yeah.
When you pulled them off like that, the tail end was pretty close to the ground.
Lots of poles moving right now, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, she's pretty, well, we're slow at the moment, but I mean, we're slow going every day.
Yeah.
But,
There's two good drivers too, you, Orville and Keith.
Mhm.
yeah.
Drive the truck to make money is the way I look at it.
Yep.
They're very gentle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, both them trucks got a lot of miles on them already,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
still look good.
The only thing Harold Owen ever said to me was, "Give me every penny you can on every trip."
That's right.
So he just looked at me. Okay. Remember that someday.
Well, that's the whole point of being. in
Especially when a
business.
few slip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about the best piece of advice you were ever given by somebody that you work with?
The best piece of which?
Best piece of advice that you were ever given by somebody that you worked with?
My dad used to say, make sure you keep it between the ditches.
Good.
Keep the shiny side up.
And he'd follow that up by, don't rack it!
Mine told me when I first started was keep my eyes and ears open and my mouth shut. I guess that was,
A lot of advice over the years. It's good or bad, but I think it would be the best one.
You never learn everything. You know,
Yeah.
every day's a new day.
Every day,
Yeah.
like people say,
Especially hauling over the pass.
people say, don't you get bored going up and down there for 35 years? And I said, I see something new every day. And you do.
Yeah. There's no two trips really the same, is there? Conditions change so much.
Working on the highway, I found that every day you'd run into at least one idiot driver. Pull something stupid.
You'll run into more now, Ron.
I think you're not out there now.
There's probably about 10 now.
Probably, but
But that's the first hour though.
That's the first hour.
it was just unreal.
You see that crash yesterday in the canyon?
Yeah, it was right there.
Never
Where
heard
you?
of it.
Yeah.
Gee,
Yeah, and if I would've been about 5 seconds quicker.
you would have been hit.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then, of course, I had Tim with me, because Henderson's, the cab wouldn't go over. So we just left that one out there, Tim rides in with me.
Yeah,
And it happens, so right in the middle of the road, I haven't even stopped yet. Tim's out and on his phone.
yeah.
And come on,
The
there's,
driver's still in the truck?
yeah, there was 4 people standing there, and they said, ah, he's okay, but Tim's gotta go look.
Oh,
So I parked on the road,
Yeah.
so I rolled off the side there, come on, let's go, let's get out of here. The guy was okay,
Yeah.
but loaded doors.
Must have just been flying to do that.
No, he said he wasn't.
Really?
Loaded doors shifted, those firewalls.
Oh.
And the way they stack them, there's room between the sides of the, he said it shifted and tipped them over.
Really?
That's the story.
But he was completely upside down in the other ditch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you seen the rubber there, you'd
I
say
saw
it
the
went
rubber.
fast.
Yeah.
That's what shifted the doors.
But the car behind him, those guys, the young
They
guys.
said he wasn't going that fast?
No,
Really?
50 clip an hour or something like
Oh.
Yeah, but they were
that. Yeah.
hard to tell.
Yeah, there's 2 sides of every story.
That probably wasn't fast for a car.
But yeah, it's a good thing there wasn't somebody right there. You would have fell right on top of him.
Yeah, he was still laying down in the bottom of the cab there, contemplating life when he was,
Not bad.
Tim's over there. Come on.
Mark, are we going to be able to use some your pictures in?
Yeah, do you want them? Sure.
Yeah.
I think that was Creases, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. That's a John Deere
That's
there.
when they first started him in line.
Yeah.
You look at those guys from the States, that looks like a new picture to them.
Yeah, there's still
Yeah.
lots of outfits down there that are unconventional. The old 518s and.
Oh, yeah.
They still got the red wheels off the Western Star.
Yeah, he just switched over. I think
Yeah,
he just got.
he must have just bought that truck. You got a lot of pictures of it.
I rode lots with him.
Yeah,
Who did that?
that's Barry's.
Oh.
Yeah. That'd be a good one to keep.
Yeah. That was a truck show in the States.
Oh, yeah.
But there was their loggers there.
Very, pretty fancy. Is that your FMC?
Yeah. Or
Ronnie?
Cecil.
I don't know.
Oh, it's Cecil.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cecil
okay.
had one.
That was Jerry Dranges.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that truck.
That was in Czar Creek.
Yeah.
Oh, Cecil, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the one that Bob used to drive?
Well, that's the one Mike had.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I remember the first winter riding with Kenny Williams. And Bob come around the corner.
Cecil's D6.
I guess a D6.
Yeah, I had one with a tank on top like that too.
Yeah.
That was the one Ross McIntosh got killed in. We went
Was
and
it?
got it, Barry and I.
Oh, for Pete's sake. That was a sad day.
Yeah.
So what truck is that?
That's the one Gord Fuse.
Oh,
and
when he
Kelly,
got hit
when
at
they
28
crashed,
corner.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I got the pictures of that when they were together.
Really?
Go up there, yeah.
Hey, he's lucky he didn't get killed either.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had Gord's hard hat right where Gord was sitting.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Hmm. Peter's painting. Picus was in there, remember? Magnus's old shop.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta keep power.
Yeah, yeah. Here, you guys just stick whatever you think.
But you got it right on there what it was.
Or just say, just talk about it.
Well, I was.
That's when
Mark
Mark-
and Kenny
Mark
crashed.
and Kenny Taylor.
Oh.
If she has any questions, she'll just phone you anyway, Mark.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. That's a good one at the rock cut on the harbor.
Yeah.
That crash too. Mikey Dryer.
Oh, yeah. That was at Albert Canyon,
When
wasn't
I
it?
got wiped out of the canyon.
Yeah.
Didn't Jungle Jim crash there too once? With the highway?
Albert Canyon?
Yeah. On that same corner.
Oh. Geez, I don't know where it was, but yeah, he did,
Yeah.
he did wipe out.
Looks pretty proud there, didn't he?
Who did that?
Mark.
Oh.
It was brand new then, I guess, say, Mark.
Yeah, yeah.
Another brand new.
That's the back of the Sullivan.
Oh, yeah.
It was bars 8. I
Oh,
took
yeah.
out to build us a landing for us.
Yeah.
John White.
Oh, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, he was a good log hauler.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I was so scared of him. He was one of the best guys
He
I
was,
ever.
Yeah, he was a great
He was
guy.
pretty intimidating.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was.
but he was the best guy.
Once you got to know him, though, he was sure
Yeah.
pussy cat, wasn't he?
Actually, the first day I rode with Kenny Williams, we were he was hauling out at the 112 in Gold River, and we loaded behind John White that morning. We got out there, and I didn't know who this guy was. And he was giving me a hard time about being the swamper and this and that. And you got to do this, and you got to do that. It was pretty interesting.
Ooh, that's
old Brutus.
That's old Brutus. Who's that, Baltacus?
Grandpa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
only drove a few days, and you sent me out there to haul some guy's D7 to the
For
back.
Pete's sake. That's you?
Yeah. Pretty skinny, eh? Had hair.
You were.
Grandpa
That's
just
gotta
couldn't
be a
believe getting
keeper.
on that bridge. He says, "That's just ridiculous."
Out
Because
of
you have to
Smith
drive
Creek.
by it. Yeah.
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 It's not much better now.
No, no.
Hasn't changed.
Gee.
Which I always got a kick out of.
It was Ray in the ditch, and we were trying to pull him out.
Oh, okay.
Old Harry Himmler was driving that thing for.
Oh, yeah, for
Ernie?
Ernie Holler?
Ernie Holler, yeah.
Ernie
Yeah.
Holler, yeah.
Who's that on that one page? What's that?
Oh, that was Harry. He went in the ditch with
Oh,
Ernie's
yeah.
truck, and
No.
I was on the bend. That's quite a piece of metal, eh?
It is, yeah. I don't know whose yard that was.
Kay
It's
was
on
driving,
tracks.
I know that, but I don't know whose it was.
Hmm.
Wouldn't have been Ross's, would it? Wasn't Ross in partnership with somebody?
They had 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, they had all kinds of
Don't
stuff.
know, or-
Yeah, Rake, probably one of
Rake, I
Rake's.
bet you it's Rake, yeah.
Herb was in there too, right?
Yeah.
You'd use
Herb
them.
had a Skagit though. That big blue one.
Yeah, we-
Right.
Some more pictures of Mike. so.
That
Yeah.
door was closed there, they said, and Robin opened it by himself
Really?
with her hand to get him out.
I can believe that.
Yeah. And there, Kenny Williams dumped the load there at the old 85 bridge at Hope.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were all waiting, and he come back to get his
Oh,
other load then after
Yeah.
he finally unloaded
Which
it.
truck was that?
The Peterbilt there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
think I've only
That
got
was Michael Dreyer with that one he bought off of Carrick's.
Oh,
The
yeah.
red and white one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've
Very
only got like
time.
one picture of those teeth that Williams had.
Yeah, I don't have very many.
Lots of winter scenes, Mark.
Yeah. That was Larry Hoth loading.
Oh,
Brian
okay.
Which was driving that one.
Yeah.
Old Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see any buckets hanging on the boom.
No,
Must
it
have been
was pretty new
then.
then, yeah.
Yeah, it was,
Didn't do a very good job of limiting that load, did they, Rob?
I tell you, I remember that old Kenworth that Bob Dreyer drove, riding with Kenny first winter out of Kosher's. He come around the corner, both his duals went flying off the trailer,
Really?
just outside the lodge, like
Oh, really?
right down to the tree line.
Jeez.
And everybody, Kenny gets stopped, Bob gets stopped, and I'm looking down there, and Bob says, "Can you see the tires down there?" I said, "Yeah, I see them right down there." He says, "Those be the wrappers." He says, "Here, get going." He says, I'm like, "Well, your tires." He said, "Yeah, but you're the greenhorn." He says. So yeah, up to my chin in snow.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny to see a picture of a wheel loader these days.
It does, yes.
Used to stack them up because of the off-highway.
That's
Now
right.
you don't see that anymore.
No, you don't. Is that the truck that Dale Anderson had?
No, Arlie.
Arlie, oh,
Up
okay.
Martin Creek.
That's right, too.
And this here is, I got loaded, I was my first winter,
Mm-hmm.
and it was loaded too far back, and I was inexperienced. I had a set of chains on, and I spun out here. So Kenny Taylor's gonna come and pull me. Well, he ended up in the ditch
He
there.
drove off the road, it looks like there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and then Joe come and pulled me with the grader and pulled me apart.
Oh.
So then we had to get the skidder up. Billy Henderson was running the company crew, and he was ramrodding it, eh?
Granny.
Yeah, yeah. That was Jack Woods's.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
And Harold's.
The old
Harold's
Kenworth.
Anderson had it there for a while. They called it the old $5 truck, 'cause
Yeah.
that's all anybody figured it was worth.
Yeah.
That was a hard riding thing.
Joe done haul logs with that thing?
Yeah, he did, yeah. It had a triple frame in it and spring
That'll
suspension.
be stiff, eh?
Oh, that thing was cruel.
That was one of those ones they bought to haul off the mine there, I think.
Yeah, he bought it on the haul off the mine.
Oh, for Miller.
Yeah, oh no, up here at Mount Minerals.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Pete had that one too, that green one.
Did
Bought
he?
for that.
Yeah.
you got some good pictures, Mark.
I'd sure like to see that album of Juniors.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
Oh, that would be something, eh?
He has a trunk. You ever been to Juniors at all?
No, I was
Actually-
going up one time, and then some reason it got canceled.
He's actually got two trunks, and one is full of albums, the other one's loose pictures.
Really?
And when we moved them, we loaded in that trailer, it
Yeah.
took two of us, and it was probably 180 pounds.
Really?
It's the size of an ottoman.
And he'd have a story for everyone.
And you couldn't pull one out that he doesn't have something to tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's one in there, if you ever get a chance, he's naked, drunk in a bathtub,
Really?
with the dog laying right
The
beside
dog,
him.
with the dog laying on him in the
That's more
bathtub.
Verge's story than his, but it started at the shop.
All right.
So he's got some great
That
stuff.
sounds
Well,
scary.
they said he used to go up to 5 Mile in the summer there and put Pinch behind the wheel, and he'd sit on the other side there, and the tourists would go by, and there'd be the dog steering the truck. That was his name, Pinch, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank you, dog, yeah.
That was the second one, right? Pinch was the
I
second.
think so, yeah.
No, Pinch was the first one, then Ringo was the next
Ringo.
one. Yeah.
Ringo.
And he'd push the high milers up too.
Oh, yeah.
Run up behind him there.
They
and
say
push
whether
them.
they hill over the gill and he'd sneak up behind him and get him butt. If he said if he felt them kind of get heavy and then pick up again, he knew that they were with it.
That's
He
right.
figured it out the gear, right? And he said he'd start pushing it.
When he got that Freightliner, and Harold had that same 475 twin turbo,
Yeah.
and of course they were always power. Who could pull
Yeah,
who?
yeah.
So he just had to come back from Cranbrook, and what was the guy's name from Cranbrook? Remember, worked at Kenworth?
Wayne
Always.
Day.
That's
Wednesday,
him.
yeah.
So he was riding with him, and he was gonna go past Harold, so he got a big old willow, and he rammed it in the side of his stake in front of the cheater, rammed it in the stick, so it stuck straight out about 4 feet, out the passenger side, and he passed Harold on a double solid just about the top of the 5 Mile, because that's when the passing lane ended.
Yeah.
And he took Harold's little fisheye mirror off. So he said he kind of forgot about it. He got in front, and when he got 3/4 of the way down, there was two hitchhikers. And he said he took one's hat off, and the other one ducked. He said, you know, you had so much fun, Junior said, I just left it all the way to Donald.
We always went on those fishing trips to the coast, and he come back, and I can hear him on the radio. We were coming out of Cozier's, and he says, "Yeah, I had whatever 20 fish or whatever, way over the limit, but I gave some to so and so in Abbotsford and Kamloops and all the way back. And when I got back, I was legal." And I said, got on the radio, and I said, "Did you take the Safeway stamp off him before you gave him?" "Well, you little bugger," he says. And when I got to Golden, he was standing there waiting for me to come all the way in. And then he grabbed my shirt there, and he could have snapped my neck if he wanted to. He was that strong, eh? And he was just joking, but up I went, eh? And don't you ever. He was a strong man, holy smokes.
Came back from Hawaii that time, the only time I think he went on a real holiday.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't seen him for a while, and I was sitting in my office down there on 13th Street when we were down there, and he came running in, and he pinned me up against the wall, and gave me a great big sloppy kiss on the cheek. I was terrified. I didn't know what's going on. So finally, I got away from him. I said, "What was that all about?" He said, "I ran into your mother-in-law on the plane, and she said I was to give you a kiss."
Told the wrong guy.
So I phoned my mother-in-law, and right away she started to laugh. She said there wasn't anybody on that plane that didn't know Ron Jr.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She just happened to be on there. And how it started, she heard him because he's so loud. And she said, "Oh, you're from Golden. You know my son-in-law, Brian Weird? Well, holy to me."
She wish she'd never talked to him.
Wish I'd never said that. Gee, what a coincidence.
Well, Brian would bug him fiercely. Brian
Yeah.
Leftwich there on the radio, and he said I was coming out of Gold River one day, and he said there it was, crossways in the road with the gun out across the fender.
Oh.
So he said I stopped, locked the doors, and over he comes, leaned the gun up against, grabs his cheater pipe, over he comes, and he says, "Get out." Brian said, "I ain't getting out of here." He said, "Well, you'll either get out or I'll tear every piece of chrome off this thing." And I said to Brian, "Well, he could have started tearing because I wouldn't have been getting out." Brian said, "I couldn't let that happen." So I unlocked the door, stepped out in the step, he says, and I never hit the ground, and I was airborne. He
Threw
said,
him right over the back.
He said, "I was all beat and bruised." And I seen him hit him at the shop too one time at Whiskey Jack's shop there. Brian started bugging him. I said, "You better shut up or he's gonna..." "Oh yeah, before he leaves here, he'll hit me." He said. He come down, Brian was beaking at him, and he took his knuckle and right on top of his head, just buckled Brian down to Brian says, "See, I told you," he says.
That was a friendly gesture.
Yeah, Brian was his friend, so
Yeah.
Not many bowls of the woods left anymore.
They're not. No.
I think Chris tries a little bit, but don't have.
No. Yeah.
Well, and there was Jodwin too, he was another
Yeah.
big strong
And
guy.
Jungle Jim, he could hold his own too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That time we were in the Big Bend, and Gene Knight he was pretty yappy, remember?
Yeah.
And Jungle Jim said he never raised his voice. He said, "You know, Gene, do you like your nose the way it is? Because if you do, you better shut up." And he had his hand on his glass of beer. Well, you could hardly see the glass of beer. He was a big man.
He had big hands, that guy.
Yeah.
And Paul Ricard, no,
Paul
Henry brother.
Paul Hardwick.
Paul Hardwick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a powerful man too.
Yeah.
I remember I hauled with Wes Leftwich Jr. and Paul, and I forget somebody else over here on the Cedar Lake, and it was only my second year drive, and I was scared to death, and they were so good to me, eh? And
Yeah.
That was on the old Cedar Lake Road.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I remember, I only had one winter, it was pretty slow, I couldn't find enough work or whatever, and I rode up there with Larry Weber that one day, and it's coming down there.
That's who the other guy was.
Larry, yeah, I can't forget him. And, coming down out of there, no chains on, sun shining on every hill coming down out of there, and,
Yeah, he could really drive.
yeah, didn't bother him at all, slipping and sliding, getting around switchbacks.
With the sandwich and saying, "Gosh, that was slippery."
Yeah, that's right. I
Hey,
guess
pretty cool.
that's where Dale probably gets his
Yeah,
flight.
see where Dale gets it from.
Yeah.
Ed Zorn's another one.
Yeah, Ed Zorn.
Good drive.
Yeah, yeah, I seen him come down the blue wire, it was freaking glare ice with no chains on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
there's
doing
no
that.
way I was going up there without any, I know that.
I remember doing that too. You'd leave the landing, think, oh, I don't need change, it's just a little bit of grade, that's nice, it's pretty good. Halfway down the hill, you're all puckered up and hanging on.
Wish you'd put them on. Yeah.
Cursing yourself, and you're on the bottom and carrying on, oh, that wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah.
Most guys could drive out of it though nowadays. If you did that to somebody, a new guy, they'd be gone. Back then, you know, you could work around it, but
When I first started, if you shone the hill up, you better say something.
Yeah,
Now
you
nobody
betcha.
says anything, or very few, there's the odd guy, but, and I remember, it was John White and Gordy Betker squaring off one day there, cause one of them slid the hill up and never told the other one. Yeah, and I'm thinking, holy cow, these guys are in their sixties and they're gonna have a fight right here, you know? I think John Crease went down and got them all settled down, and yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was serious business, it was.
Yeah.
well, especially if you didn't say anything.
Yeah, yeah,
It's one thing to do
Yeah,
it.
you ain't to have an accident
Yeah.
because of it.
Yeah.
Now you just expect it.
And I remember they were bugging Junior in Hope Creek when I first started there too. And he says, well, I'll fix you clowns up the next trip down. He said, I'll pull the trailer brake right from the top to the bottom. That was a long grade down there.
Yeah.
Who pulls out behind him? Me.
Sure.
So I thought, I'm not saying a word because I don't want to. So I'm thinking, oh, I hope he doesn't. So he come on, and he's on the radio and he said, because it's you, kid, I won't ice her up this trip, he said. So, oh, thank you.
Thank you, guys.